What's up? This is Marwan. I am near City Hall, and what I want to talk about today is the importance of frequent self-reflection and why you don't want to wait until you've hit a milestone in order to do so. So it's the holidays right now, so happy holidays. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because recently I was at a bar with some friends and we decided to go to a nightclub at some point, and then after a while one of my friends decided to just like kind of ditch us and go to the bar by himself, or like at least like the bar section, and he kind of stayed there for a good amount of time alone. And after he came back, he told me he like went through this very deep and long self-reflection period. Even though it was a bar, it was chaotic, and a lot of things were going on, he was kind of just like sipping on his drink and kind of going through this in his mind. And I thought it was very interesting because he reached a point where it was his birthday was I believe it was his 25th birthday that was coming up, and he was telling me why he didn't just want to wait until he was 30 and why he should, just do it. Might as well do it now. So I thought it was actually a really good idea to talk about why you should actually self-reflect more frequently than just when you've hit a milestone. Because I thought it was very surprising that he did that, not just because he was in a bar and there was a lot of chaos going on, but also because of the fact that I thought that this was something that he would do more regularly, and that was something that I do more regularly. The way that I've kind of have been doing it very, very recently is after reading the book 7 Habits by Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. He talked about the concept of splitting your life into specific roles that you do on whether it's on your day-to-day basis or week-to-week or month-to-month. And what he means by that is, for example, I have multiple roles in my life, and everyone has multiple roles in their life. So, for example, it would be, one of my roles would be a brother, a health nut, an artist, a son, a friend. So that's just like 5 alone. Now, the reason why you want to split it up is because you want to look at everything individually. So you don't want to kind of carry your fashion, or maybe not your fashion, your finance and your health and whether or not you're a good friend all kind of bundled up in one thing, and whether or not that fits into your personality. Maybe you can do that on an overall, like after you're done, but initially what you want to do is kind of just look at each of those individually and see where you're at. And generally the way that I'd like to do it is to split it up into, okay, what am I doing wrong, what am I doing right, what am I doing wrong, and what are some things that I can improve on. One of the things that I find that very interesting about how he did it was when I kind of looked at my finances specifically, I was like, okay, sure, there's a lot of aspects to my life that I want to improve, and I feel like there's so much room for improvement. When I looked at things more individually, especially like my finance recently, I was like, you know what, given my age, given my situation, I'm doing pretty decently. And I kind of like gave myself that pat on the back. And instead of putting too much pressure on yourself, or maybe if you're similar to me, you would put too much pressure on yourself in certain areas of your life. And it kind of like removed that bit of stress and kind of made me think, okay, I'm not doing that bad. I'm doing pretty well. Now, something that you don't want to do is you don't want to compare yourself to other people, like especially your friends. If you have a successful sister or brother, or your father is very successful, or any of that, like don't compare yourself to those people, or even a celebrity or anything, especially celebrities. Like, why would you do that? So don't compare yourself, but just look at it in terms of how satisfied you are, in terms of how well off you want to be given how much you know and the knowledge that you have acquired over time. So for example, like finances, money is not something that I deal with very well generally. And given the limited amount of knowledge that I know that I'm actually doing pretty decently in that, given that I have a very limited amount of knowledge in that particular area. So that's kind of the idea that I'm getting at here, is that you don't know everything. There's a lot of areas that you don't know. There's a lot of things that you don't know, and that's fine. That's acceptable. But you also want to, that's kind of the reason why I put in that category of what you want to improve on, is because you don't want to kind of just sit there stale, and you want to actually make an action plan of what are the things that you want to improve on. And another thing is you also don't want to kind of just build this gigantic, enormous, unaccomplishable list that can be, to some people, overwhelming, and not even eventually pretty much not get at any of that, and end up by the end of the next year not ending up accomplishing anything. And what would be a smarter way to do it, at least this is something that works for me, maybe it works for you as well, is if you want to break down that list into, okay, you know what, for this particular month, or for the next couple of weeks, I just want to focus on, for example, my health and being a better brother, like being more in contact with my brothers and sister, with my two brothers and sister, and make sure that I'm like eating well and exercising enough, and kind of just like limit it to that, because otherwise you're just overstressing and putting too much pressure on yourself, and it's just like, I don't personally think it's worth doing that. Something that I've been doing recently is surrounding myself by people that are into that personal development. So when I discuss about like topics like that, about like certain areas of my life that they might be much better at, they kind of like help me out on that more. So instead of just relying on myself of, okay, I have a limited knowledge with finance, and given that I'm doing okay, and kind of just leaving it at that, I would just actually seek other people that are better at that particular area of their lives, better than me, or at least in my view they're better than me. And instead of just comparing myself to them and thinking, oh well, I'm nowhere near as good as that guy or that girl, I'm actually thinking, okay, this person's doing a lot better than I am, let's see what they're doing, and kind of pick their brain and figure out what they're doing that you're not doing. That's all I want to talk about today. Happy holidays, and on that note, until next time.